Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, boys and girls. Always love having you guys on. Now, today, it's Monday. Some of you guys woke up today cursing the sky gods, work. Others of you woke up with gratitude in your heart simply for having another day. Whichever way you woke up, there is a chance that over the last few days, the last few weeks, or maybe the last couple of months, there has been a sense of overwhelm in one category of your life or the other. You just feel frustrated. How many of you guys have felt in one way or another a little bit of that frustration and overwhelm kind of creeping in? Whether it's your business, it is your personal life, it's work, it's travel, anything. Okay. Overwhelm is normal. Let's normalize that. Let's normalize the feeling that, hey, we can get overwhelmed at times. We can feel frustrated and it's still okay. And we can continue on with our lives. And first off, recognize the fact that you're here, you're breathing, you're okay. So no matter what's happened, any trial you may have had, any depression you may have dealt with or are still dealing with, any illness that you've had, whatever it may be, a family member, something, you're here and you're okay. And, Ernie's talking about second guessing. Second guessing is normal. It's normal even once you reach a pinnacle of success. It happens. Michael's saying feeling overwhelmed is just a reminder that we are more than we think we are. Here's one of the biggest problems with overwhelm, guys, is sometimes we feel that we start doing things and then we start doing more things, and maybe we get a little bit more productive because you've listened to some of the stuff that I've talked about, and you change up some of your habits and you stop doing certain things, and so you fill up that time with more, and we just keep adding more and more to our plate, or one thing doesn't work and we say, well, I'm going to do this instead, and we don't give up the thing that got us there. We just keep adding to it. It happens all the time, right? Feeling overwhelmed is normal. Second guessing yourself once in a while is normal. David says trying to work on replacing overwhelm with gratitude. That's one of those things, it is, we've heard that term, the garden that you cultivate is the one that you are going to reap, you're going to sow, right? If you spend more time focusing on that overwhelm, or why is this not working, or why is that not working, or why do I not have any time, or what's happening there? If you focus on that, then yeah, you're going to feel overwhelmed. If you're trying to compare somebody else's, chapter 30 with your chapter 2, you're going to feel overwhelmed because you're thinking, why am I not there? And a lot of times what I have found working with people is the feeling of overwhelm. When we struggle with it, it's oftentimes because we're comparing something else. And so we feel inadequate to face, deal with, overcome whatever it is that is currently on our plate. You feel overwhelmed because you feel incapable of, in one way or another, you feel like your level of capability, your level of confidence is too low to deal with whatever struggle you have in front of you. Okay. So I know there's a number of you that that work out, that exercise. So excuse me, whether you have or not, I want you to picture this, right? So I used to, in high school, I used to work out a lot. Before I went through kind of some depression and other stuff, and I let my health go, I got back into being real healthy and exercising, and because that was one of the few things that I could control, right? Michael, everyone loves what Michael's saying. So I felt the feeling of overwhelm demonstrates the wealth of opportunities. It's absolutely, being overwhelmed typically means that there's a lot of opportunities there, and maybe you're trying to grasp them, but your feeling is that I'm not capable of doing something, right? I'm not capable of taking advantage of all of these opportunities. And so therefore I'm going to feel overwhelmed because I want to take advantage of every single thing that's there, right? There are more opportunities. There's more abundance out there than really any of us recognize. That's one reason that I have you doing affirmations, but part of that is to start to strengthen yourself so that you can handle the opportunities that are there. And so this is where this working out comes in. When I went through, let's say 6-7 years ago, when I was going through really more of the depression and the divorce, and I was overweight and I was struggling with everything, and I started to work out, because working out for me And so this is a lot of times when you see things about being overwhelmed, there's often talk about getting your diet and your health in line. It's one of the few things that typically, unless there's some serious thing there, it's one of the few things that you can take full control of. My speech today is not one of the things that I can take full control of, struggling like all get out. Your health, your diet, your physical exercise, one of the things you can take full control of. But it's important to recognize that you're starting from a certain point and you have to develop into what you need to be. So exercise, building muscle, for example. The way to build muscle, and I know we have some training on here, the way to build muscle is to perform some kind of exercise, strain the muscle fibers a little beyond where they would normally be comfortable, cause microscopic tears within those muscle fibers, and then the fibers themselves take amino acids and other vitamins and nutrients and minerals to rebuild the fiber stronger than it was. Right? Does everybody understand that? That's how our muscle fibers, that's how we become stronger. Now, that happens not just with muscle fibers, it also has to happen with surrounding tissue, right? Meaning your ligaments, your tendons, the things that connect your muscles to your bones have to become stronger. Now, the only way for that to happen is if we are providing enough nutrients for the muscles and everything to improve. Right? Is everybody on board with me? And I know a couple of you are doctors. I think I saw Curtis on here. A couple of you are personal trainers. So if I say anything incorrect, then please correct me. But we're going fairly basic here. In order for me to get stronger, that's one thing that needs to happen. Now, you get into this world occasionally, people that are looking for the fast track. I want to avoid some of what's necessary to really gain the muscle and gain the strength. Right? So they use steroids, right? Now there's a difference between hormone replacement therapy and steroids. People will go out and they'll buy artificial means to try and strengthen themselves, or they work out too much because they're trying to fit a certain amount of progress into a very short window. Now, a lot of times when people that are using artificial methods or people that are trying to work themselves too much, what happens is they damage the tissues. They can damage the muscle, they can damage the soft tissue, ligaments, tendons, etc., because there's not enough, because there's a pace at which your body can grow with health, and there's a pace at which your body grows where it can damage itself. Is everybody still on board with me? Are we kind of following along what I'm talking about? Now, if I'm taking a bunch of steroids and I'm trying to build up muscle, my ligaments, my tendons, my bones don't have the opportunity to grow at the same pace. Because what that testosterone and the human growth hormone, whatever it is, what that typically does is it triggers this growth within the muscles that's faster than everything else. And so injuries end up occurring because my joints haven't had time to strengthen themselves. I'm trying to speed things up too much. You're overwhelming your body with the weight, with the opportunity for growth, but you haven't built a foundation that allows for growth, not in a healthy manner. And so you end up screwing things up. On the other hand, we have people that go and they work out too much. And they never allow themselves a rest day. They never allow themselves the time that their body needs to recuperate. Because if you're tearing down your muscles, it needs time to rejuvenate itself. And so not only do you need rest, you need the proper nutrients, because if you don't, if I'm working out a lot, James Lawrence is a great example. David was talking about that. There's a great interview by Ed Milet. James Lawrence is the Iron Cowboy that I've talked about before. One of the things that he had to do, one of the struggles that he had is consuming enough calories. And then he got to the point where his body was almost trying to repair itself while he kept breaking it down. But the amount of calories that he had to consume so that he didn't go into complete catabolic breakdown was tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Now, what I mean is, if I'm not consuming enough protein, I'm not consuming enough vitamins and minerals and things like that, and my muscle needs to rebuild. So let's say I go and I do squats over and over and over, because your legs hold typically about 55 to 60% of your overall muscle mass should be in your legs. Guys, don't skip leg day. It should be in your legs. Okay. So if that's what I'm doing, but I'm not eating enough, what is my body going to do? If I'm not eating enough protein, nutrients, etc.,
Consume itself.
Say again?
Like take from itself. Like
Exactly. It's going to catabolize is what they talk about. It's going to go into other parts of my body. It's going to break down those amino acids, those muscle fibers. It's going to break that down so I can repair over here, because damn it, Andrew, you keep injuring your legs, the muscle fibers in your legs. We need to repair it. You're not giving us enough food. We got to find it elsewhere. So that's why when you talk about diet, and I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I've done some personal training. We've got others that's what they're certified for, but it's real simple, guys. It's not just the calories. You've got to be able to have the right nutrients for your body to repair itself. Now, if I'm not giving myself enough rest, recovery, like Patricia's talking about, if I'm not giving myself enough nutrients, my body is going to be overwhelmed with pressure and never be able to recover the right way. Now, if I'm doing it the right way, if I'm going about this correctly, whether you got a trainer or not, if I'm going about an exercise program the right way, then I am overwhelming my muscles on purpose, but then I'm giving myself what I need to recover, repair, and then increase my productivity, right? Do we understand that? We're overwhelming on purpose. Like with cardiovascular health, even we're not talking about muscles. If we're not trying to talk about getting in shape to look great in a bikini or on the beach or whatever, even if that's not your goal, and you're just trying to get your heart healthier, you're straining your heart to a certain extent, getting it to beat a little bit more, a little bit faster. Like we're putting into cardiovascular, there's typically a range depending on your age and weight that you want your heart beating at more and more frequently to strengthen it. Meaning I push a little bit more, right? You're supposed to work different muscle groups on different days. There's different ways of going about it. Everybody's a little bit different. There are positives and negatives with all of it. Depends on what your level of exertion is, Richard and Ernie. So 50 push-ups at the beginning, 50 push-ups could be a lot. Once you get a little bit into it, 50 push-ups a day really is nothing, right? Honestly. So by the end, you would need to increase that because your body, you're overwhelming it at the beginning again, but you're building up a tolerance. And so you need to increase your level of productivity. So this is where you guys got to understand where you're at right now with your life and with your business. What are you doing? If you're feeling overwhelmed, the first thing I need you to do is understand being overwhelmed is normal. It's okay. And it's how you grow. If you're never overwhelmed, if you never feel like you've got too much, if you never feel like, man, I can do more, if you're not feeling that at some point in your life, then you're not living life the right way, in my opinion. There should be moments where you recognize how much more you need to do. What I have found all of the time when I study, whether it is spirituality, I'm studying scriptures and prayer and I'm fasting and I'm working on that side. I'm studying my professional life. I'm studying, things for my mindset and my own personal growth, whatever it is that I'm trying to do. The more that I learn and the more that I grow, the more I recognize I need to do. The more I recognize how imperfect I am and everything that I've assumed and how much I need to work on, right? So I try and overwhelm myself to an extent. Now, there are points, and this is where self-awareness comes in, where you'll have to recognize, hey, I'm pushing a little too far. I need to recover. So you go for a hike in the Humpback Mountains. You go to the beach. You put your feet in the sand. You do something to change your perspective, right? But you've got to understand that overwhelm is part of life and it's okay to an extent. Now, if that is your default, overwhelm and anxiety, that's where your problem comes in. Because if you allow the overwhelm to bring anxiety and stress, then we're also introducing cortisol into our lives a little too much. And then that breaks down everything else. Then that causes problems with sleep, causes problems through your day. You get a little snippy. Your relationships start to struggle, right? The necessary ingredients of life are oxygen, water, food, sleep, and mental and emotional stimulation. Often we forget proper sleep. And the last one, importance of exposing ourselves to wholesome and mental, emotional stimulation mainly. Yes, Michael. So here's a couple of things. First thing is recognize overwhelm's okay, depending on how you do it. One of the first things that you can do, one of the most important things, and I'm going to touch on, right, Michael's talking exactly about it: oxygen, water, food, sleep. And I would do mental, emotional, and physical stimulation with those, right? So we add that in. So number one of the easiest things you can do is breathe. Learn to breathe more. First thing in the morning, before you pick up your phone, before you look at emails, before your affirmations, right? Breathe. Take 60 seconds, take 2 minutes, and just take some deep breaths. Use your diaphragm, sit, keep yourself quiet, and just breathe. Throughout the day, if you get a little overwhelmed, a lot of times it's because we don't recognize that we're starting to bunch up and we're taking shorter breaths. It's a quick highway to anxiety if that's what you're doing. So if you're feeling a little anxious, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, what I need you to do is stop, put down your phone, put down, turn the computer off, whatever it is you need to do, and just breathe. And if that's too hard to remember, then put a sticky note on your computer or put an alarm on your phone a couple of times a day. And when you're at work or you're at home and your wife goes, why is your alarm going off? You're going to say, I need to go breathe for a minute. What do you mean you need to go breathe? What are you talking about? I'm trying to do everything I can to better myself. Part of it, like, I recognize I just don't take those couple of minutes each day to just breathe. So I'm working on it. Well, where did you hear that nonsense? Blame it on me. You know that guy I listen to all the time at lunch? I don't know. He's talking about breathing. I thought that's about digital marketing. It is, but I need to breathe. So go breathe. Breath is one of the most important things. You don't get enough oxygen to your brain. You don't get enough oxygen to those muscles. Recovery in any way will be difficult without oxygen. And if you don't believe me, try holding your breath a little bit longer. We'll see how well you wake up tomorrow. Okay. All right. Next. Yeah. Breathe during the reps at the gym. Absolutely. Water. We've talked about this before, but hydrate yourselves a hell of a lot more than you currently are. Now, coffee, wine, beer, or seltzers seem to be fairly popular right now. Those don't count for full hydration, just as an FYI. Okay. Coffee is a diuretic. It's actually going to help get rid of water. Drink water, right? Water. If I have to explain that, then I don't know how you got to this point in life. Okay. Water. Drink more. Next, food. Just be healthier with your choices. Chris and I have done a number of different conversations there. Look at what you can eat that's less processed, but also add in the enzymes and probiotics and the other stuff so that you get more out of your actual food to help your body digest what you're taking in. Sometimes just because you eat something doesn't mean your body's getting all the nutrients from it. So food, I would say it's the type of food and it's the basic supplementation. I'm not saying crazy supplements. You don't necessarily need all sorts of things. You may, based on your diet or how your body responds to the food that you're ingesting. But typically simple changes in your diet can play huge roles in your mental and your emotional and your physical well-being. Next is sleep. Most of you don't sleep enough. Most of us don't, right? Some of us have some conditions. Now, this isn't, I am not big pharma. I'm not going to tell you that you need to start taking all sorts of stuff to sleep better. That's not what in any way what I'm talking about. I've struggled with sleep almost my entire life. You need to figure out whether or not you struggle with sleep or you're just not letting yourself sleep because you're adding in too much stimulation, or you're laying in bed watching TV and the TV's part of, your TV habits are part of the bedroom or whatever. Like, figure out what you need to do. Go read an article, watch a video talking about sleep health. Maybe we'll talk about it at some point, but sleep. Okay. And I'm not going to tell you need 8 hours or you need 7, because there are people that do well with 4. There are people that do well with just naps throughout the day. Some people need 8.5. You got to figure out what your body needs, but sleep. Okay. Next is that mental, emotional, and physical stimulation. So exercise, you got the extreme side, you got the 75 hard that we've talked about with Andy Frisella, which is an awesome program. And, I'm thinking about restarting that. And then you've got things like, cross training every day, and okay, great. And then you got people that don't do anything. Look, it could be yoga, it could be going for a walk, it could be going on a hike, it could be exercising regularly. Just find a way to get a little more active than you are. Whatever it is you're doing. If you're not doing anything, start going on some walks. If you are doing something, raise the level of activity by 15, 20 minutes throughout the week. That little bit of time gets you extra vitamin D. It'll raise your level of immune support. It will increase the positive hormones in your brain. It'll help you think more clearly. All of this stuff there's nothing but positives. Exercise, and then obviously the emotional and mental stimulation, relationships, and education. I talk about those all the time. Okay. All of this, guys, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you just pay a little bit more attention, maybe you change up your diet a little bit, you breathe a little more frequently during the day, you get enough water, and you sleep some, and then have a couple of positive conversations and go on a walk, holy cow, you're going to feel so much better. And then you'll push yourself to feel a little bit more overwhelmed. And then you'll work yourself through it. You'll be just like your muscle fibers. You'll get stronger. You'll reinforce what's there. And then you'll be able to take on whatever the next challenge is, right? It's just paying attention to what's going on. I think one of the most important things if you're feeling overwhelmed, again, recognize that that's part of life. Look at the simple things and go, what am I not doing? Or what can I do right now that's going to help me? This morning, I woke up and there's a lot going on for me this week. There's a lot of stuff personally, with attorneys, with work, with new content, with you guys, interview at the end of the week that I've been thinking about that interview with that dude for years now, like all these different things. And there's a little bit of overwhelm. So before my first call, actually it was after my first call that I had a few minutes. Instead of sitting down and like jumping right into emails and trying to do this other stuff, I stopped. I pulled up the little affirmations video that I filmed with my voice. I set it up right there where that little fossil is. I put it right there. I picked up I just stretched, repeating my own affirmations out loud. Just stretched and spent 5 minutes breathing. And that brought it into hey, I'm okay, right? Things are going to be just fine. Whatever it is you guys need to do that, do it. It's okay to be overwhelmed once in a while, because no matter what's going on, you can always find a way to rise up, rise from the ashes, and fly like the phoenixes that you are. I love you guys much. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to hit stop.